Good Monday morning, and thanks for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Let's get to your morning headlines. Breaking this morning, one person has died and several others are hurt after a shooting at Boom Island Park in Minneapolis. It happened late Sunday night, and police have been on the scene all morning trying to figure out what happened. Our Audrey Russo is at the park with new details on the shooting from Police Chief Brian O'Hara.
One woman is dead, 5 others are injured after a shooting at Boom Island Park. Behind me, you can see police are combing through hundreds of pieces of evidence. Police Chief Brian O'Hara says around 9:30, officers responded here to Boom Island Park and they found 100 people at a gathering. 3 victims were found in the park. 1 victim was found in a car at the entrance to the park. 2 additional men were brought to the hospital in private cars. Police say 1 woman was hurt, possibly knocked unconscious in the melee that unfolded here. Chief O'Hara says victims are cooperating at this hour and that they are following up on leads. It's unclear, though, what this gathering was for, why so many people were here at Boom Island Park. But Chief O'Hara believes there was more than one shooter. There is a lot of work ahead of investigators as they have so much evidence to comb through.
It's a very extensive scene, and yes, there are literally hundreds of pieces of evidence. It's obvious that a whole lot of rounds were fired here. I don't know what can motivate people to come armed to a gathering like this in the way that they did.
Again, officers are following up on leads, trying to put a little bit of context to all of these pieces of evidence that they're combing through. If you have any information, you are asked to reach out to Minneapolis Police directly. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you. Now, the crowd from Boom Island Park made their way to HCMC just about 3 miles south as the victims arrived there, creating a large police response there as well. Our Michelle Beck has been at the hospital all morning and she has the details.
We just got additional details from the Minneapolis police chief. He says HCMC, this hospital right here, is where one woman was brought after she was shot. This is where she died. We know 5 other shooting victims were either brought here or to North Memorial. And you might be able to tell this is a really quiet scene outside the hospital right now, very different from the scene just a few hours ago. A huge crowd, all eyes on the hospital entrance. Emotions were high. In this video, I could hear someone shouting his loved one was shot. It was tense out here too, as sheriff's deputies and state troopers seemed like they were trying to control the scene. At one point, they came out of the hospital and had to push the crowd back. And so State Patrol this morning, they tell me that it was actually Hennepin County Sheriff's Office who was leading this scene here, and State Patrol was actually the ones assisting them. So far, I haven't heard from the Sheriff's Office about their response here, what exactly led to this and what exactly they had to do. Still as well, no word from folks here at the hospital about their response to all this as well. Back to you.
Michelle, thank you. We do have an update this morning on the shooting outside of Mariucci Arena Friday night after Wayzata High School's graduation ceremony there. A U of M spokesperson tells us the 2 people shot are now out of the hospital. They said they plan to share more on the investigation this week. Officers arrested 1 person. Well, hey, keep your eyes on the skies later today. A big system is moving into Minnesota later and some severe weather could hit the metro. Our KARE 11 weather team is issuing a weather impact alert day for latest this evening into tomorrow morning rather, because of that severe weather chance. We're going to be checking in with meteorologist Ren Claire in just a little bit. She'll have your full forecast. Well, happening right now, we are under a statewide air quality alert because of wildfire smoke coming from Canada. Just take a look at the air quality map right now. You can see most of the state is in the yellow, moderate stage, but in the last few hours, the orange and red unhealthy levels are covering more of western Minnesota.
Anyone, regardless of if they have underlying health conditions, can be impacted. And that is true for people who are exposed to the outdoors. You know, you're huffing and puffing. That puts you into one of those sensitive groups where you can be impacted even at a lower level than red.
Take it easier today. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency suggests reducing the intensity of your outdoor physical activities and taking more breaks if you're going to be spending any time outside. Well, today marks 2 weeks since the legislative session came to an end. And right now, Minnesota lawmakers are still trying to tie up loose ends on the state's budget. And as that process is dragging on, layoff notices have started going out to Minnesota nurses. And in the last 24 hours, more state employees. However, legislative leaders say there's no immediate threat of a government shutdown on July 1st.
We are very confident that there will be a budget in place very soon. We are working to make sure that as they are receiving those notices, that they can point to a date on the calendar when the special session will happen.
Governor Walz is hoping to call the legislature back this week to officially pass all of the budget bills in a special session. Happening today, state employees will start heading back to the office. The new mandate requiring them to work in person at least half of the time goes into effect today. It's good news for some businesses downtown looking for a boost in customers, but the president of one of Minnesota's largest state government unions is predicting today is going to be a little chaotic at the Capitol complex.
There is not enough parking, and we know that there's some agencies that don't even have enough chairs for people to sit in on Monday.
According to Governor Walz, about 60% of state employees are already working in person. Right now, Golden Valley's police chief is on paid administrative leave while the city is reviewing a complaint. The city sent us a statement saying that they couldn't tell us the nature of the complaint against Chief Virgil Green because of state law. Green became chief in Golden Valley just under 3 years ago. The city says Assistant Chiefs Alice White and Rudy Perez will co-lead the department in the meantime. Developing this morning, several people are hurt after what the FBI are calling a targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado. It happened during a peaceful march trying to bring awareness to Israeli hostages held in Gaza. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Hi there. Authorities say the marchers that appear to have been targeted gather weekly to raise awareness about the Israeli hostages still being held in Gaza, part of a growing list of troubling attacks tied to that deadly conflict.
This morning, a painful recovery for the victims and the entire community after investigators say a man used a makeshift flamethrower and shouted "Free Palestine" during an attack in Boulder, Colorado, on a march calling for the return of Israeli hostages still held in Gaza.
It is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism.
Videos from the scene show a man shouting and waving bottles filled with some kind of liquid. Authorities now identifying the suspect as 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon. Two senior law enforcement officials say he's an Egyptian national and that while the investigation is in the early stages, he appears to have acted alone. Police arrested him at the scene.
And they immediately ran into a chaotic situation where a man was throwing Molotov cocktails and using other devices to hurt people.
Witnesses joined in, rushing to help the 8 victims between the ages of 52 to 88, some with very serious burns.
I was just like, how can I help? And they had like really bad burns all up on their legs. And then I went over to this other grass area that was like right by the front entrance. And there were some people, there was another lady on the ground with really bad burns on her legs, just like screaming.
The attack follows the deadly shooting less than 2 weeks ago of 2 Israeli embassy staff members in Washington, D.C., after which investigators say the suspect shouted that he did it for Gaza. And as the war there between Israel and Hamas drags on, both anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim hate crimes are on the rise.
A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security said that the suspect in this case was in the country illegally, having overstayed his visa 2 years ago. Though she noted he had a pending asylum claim, meaning he had not yet exhausted all legal options to stay in the U.S. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Happening right now, another round of peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. Leaders from both countries are in Turkey after a violent weekend in the war. New video shows the aftermath of a Ukrainian drone strike against an airbase deep inside of Russia. According to Ukrainian officials, this is the outcome of a large-scale secret mission that's been in the works for 18 months. And Russia not holding back, unleashing their own drone strikes over the weekend in the Sumy region. Ukrainian officials say at least 9 people died in these attacks. A new travel warning right now from the CDC as measles cases are surging. The agency says if you're traveling abroad, make sure you're vaccinated or consider postponing your trip. This comes after several cases were reported on airplanes and at airports like Newark, Chicago, and Seattle. So far, there are over 1,100 cases in just the U.S. this year, and that's the largest outbreak we've seen since 2019. Well, be sure to stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the short break.